Today, we'll see how to add screens to your app to let your users navigate in your content.
Let's see how to create multiple screens and manage the navigation in your app. There are two nodes that allow you to do this. Route, which allows you to make more websites with specific paths in the form of web addresses, URLs, for example, mywebsite.com/etc., mywebsite.com/contact, more examples. And Screen, more adapted to mobile applications, allows it to have animations of transitions between screens. Always choose the most suitable option depending on the nature of your project, knowing that you can always combine the two. Let's start with screens. A screen node in the plural has several screens in the singular and controls them. It allows you to switch from one to another, for example. I can name my first screen Home, another About, Contact, etc. You can create screens of screens, which is convenient to change a whole group of nodes on a zone without changing the global page. If I click on my 3 screens, I see them displayed in the editor. Clicking on a screen will display it alone. Let's put text in it with the words Home, About, Contact to visualize the screen we are on. Let's add a button in the home screen that we rename Open About. Let's go to the button graph and create the click event and extend its exit arrow. We can see that 2 actions are available: close the current screen and change the current screen. Let's choose Change the current screen. Now we can choose in the first option the destination screen. Let's put About. The second option allows to choose the transition mode, Replace or Push. Push stacks the screens on top of each other. You will then have to create a close screen block to return, and the Replace mode replaces the screen directly with another one. Let's try Push. Then we can choose the animation of screen change from left to right. In the About screen that we will arrive on, I have to create the Back Home button that will allow me to return to my home screen. Let's put in its graph a click event and then a close action block on the current screen. There's nothing else to specify. The advantage of using close current screen will be that the animation will be the reverse of the push animation of the previous screen. We have done the navigation between 2 screens, but it will be easier to create a navigation for all screens. To do this, we will first create a section in Parent Node to drag all the nodes into it. They disappear because the section adapts to the content of the screens, which it does not know in advance. So you have to change its layout from fit to 100%. Now that there is a section for the screens, we have to add a section for the global navigation. Let's create it above with 3 icons that we arrange horizontally and that we distribute at equidistance. Let's add a small internal margin at the top and bottom and a small background. Let's choose 3 different icons: a house, a man, and a paper plane. We can move the navigation section below the screens. To code a screen change in the navigation, we have to go to the icon graph, create a click event, and link the screen change. But as the navigation is not a parent of the screen, we now have to create a variable on one of the parents, like the parent section, which we will rename Page. Then click on the variables. Create a variable that we will call current screen. We could use the text type, but it is more appropriate when we want to select an option among several possible values to create a unique selection type. Let's add the possible values: home, about, and contact. In the default field, we can then choose one out of the 3 possible values. Let's find the graph of the home button of the navigation. Let's extend the arrow of the click event to set the current screen variable. Let's do the same for the graphs of the about and contact icons. Let's observe the change of this variable in the graph of the screens node to actually change the screen. Let's create the Watch Current screen block and link it to the Switch Single Selection control block. We must then assign the variable current screen to the single selection, and you can see that the block is updated with the 3 available outputs. For each item, we then create the screen switch block, when the preview is restarted, the screen change will work. A good way to check that the variable in question has the right value is to open the Debug menu to check it in the Variables tab. You can see it change depending on my navigation test. What if I want the button on the screen I'm on to not be clickable anymore? Let's use formulas. For a button, manually, I would have to click on True to disable, and the button would then turn gray. The formula, to be written at the level of the node attributes, allows to write text by calling dynamic elements that are variables. Let's transform the attribute disable into a formula. Call the variable current screen with the @ sign, then add equal, and type the name of the value between quotation marks for which the button is disabled. The quotation marks are used to indicate in the formula that it is a specific value. Let's do the same by adding the formulas with the 3 buttons. To improve my example, and to not condemn the field of the value theme associated with elements deactivated by default by changing it everywhere, I will instead set the color of the state of my default icon to white, and in each state deactivated of each icon, associate the main color of my app here, black. My navigation is operational. Now let's look at router. Let's start from scratch with a parent section, another navigation section, a router node. In the navigation section, let's add the text that will be clickable. Home, products, and contact. Let's create a section in which the content will be directed by the router's page. Let's set the width of their navigation section to 100% and align the text at equidistance. The section takes the size and fit of the content. That's why it's small. Let's activate the enlargement. Let's give it a width of 100%. I'll add an internal margin of 20 pixels to make it look a bit nicer. Let's start by creating several routers in the router node. Let's rename them correctly. The difference with screens is in the attributes. The first attribute is the path. By default, it has the value /, but alone it refers to the first path in the list of routes, so it displays the home page. So if I change the order of the routes to put the product route first, the routes point to the product page. The first step is to customize the first path attribute for each secondary route, /products and /contacts. The second is to select the second attribute exact to true. Indeed, this means that typing precisely this web address leads to our page. Otherwise, all paths would redirect to the main route with a simple /, which is the root of our pages. As for the screen, for the router, you have to create a unique selection variable in a parent node, like section, with the values home, products, and contact. Similarly, in the text used for navigation, we define the value of the current route to the pages. Make sure that each graph refers to the correct page. In the router graph, we will observe the current route variable and then use a single selection switch assigned to the current router variable to connect each output to the action block now called change route. At the path level, the home page refers to the slash, products to slash products, and contact to slash contact. When you launch the preview, the navigation goes to the right page each time. To create a personalized route according to a product that we would see on a site, we can create a route node, which we call product in the singular. In the path, we indicate /product/ID, for example. The ID will then be replaced by the product identifier. To illustrate, select the text node and assign it a variable. We see in the list the variable route_params.id, which corresponds to the product ID defined automatically. Then let's create 3 product titles in the form of text nodes in the home page for product 1, 2, and 3. Let's go to the graph of these texts and create the following logic. When we click on them, we change the route, defining as path /product/1, /product/2, and /product/3. By the way, to go faster, I can copy my selection of blocks. And let's launch the preview. Let's check with the debug menu the value of the route params variable, which is not defined at the beginning. When I click on Product 1, I arrive on the page of Product 1. Routers offer a lot of possibilities that are a bit more advanced, but this is what you need to know to manage a navigation by URL. And that's it for the management of pages on Voltapp.
So thanks for watching this tutorial. I'll see you soon in another episode of the incredible no-code adventures of Voltapp.